I currently live in the busy, bustling city-state of Singapore, and like most cities, the pace of life here is extremely fast. There's always a ton of people and traffic everywhere, even in some of my favorite parks. And if you're someone who enjoys having space and connecting with nature like me, it can sometimes feel very overwhelming and stressful. However, in the last couple of months post graduation, I've been learning to find joy in connecting to nature in the tiny ways that I can, like by taking care of my plants, exploring lesser known parks around Singapore, and being much more conscious about the creatures that inhabit the world around me. So today, I wanted to share with you guys how being surrounded by or caring for nature has changed my life for the better. Lately, I've been exploring some of the natural spaces around me more, learning to observe more, to birdwatch more. Nothing fancy, but just really paying attention to the noises around me, like birdsong, and spending time to actually look for wildlife instead of walking with my headphones in all the time and rushing from place to place. Since I live in a city where it's nearly impossible to find undeveloped natural spaces, I've always thought that wildlife is practically non existent here. But I've come to see that is simply because I haven't spent enough time and effort actually looking. Just by doing this, I've seen more animals in the past few months than I've ever seen in my entire life where I live. Whether it's in dedicated nature reserves or simply in a tree along a busy highway, I've spotted creatures I never even knew existed in my city. It's been a lesson in patience, observation, and finding stillness. Slowing down has helped me see the treasures of nature around me, lying in plain sight. It's also helped me recognize just how much there is out there worth protecting in this world, and help me rekindle some of the joy I find in being in nature and doing environmental work. There is so much that nature can teach us, but we haven't been taught how. In our world where we spend our free time attached to our devices instead of outside, where we are consumed by consumption, and where our market economy views nature only as natural resources, we've forgotten how reciprocal our relationship to Mother Earth really is. This book, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, an Indigenous scientist, has really been an eye-opener for me in learning how to understand the world in a different way. It is a beautiful book on Indigenous wisdom and culture, on how to acknowledge and celebrate our world as a gift. There are many nuggets of wisdom in here, but here's just one that I really love. In the old times, when people's lives were so directly tied to the land, it was easy to know the world as gift. When fall came, the skies would darken with flocks of geese. The people are hungry, winter is coming, and the geese fill the marshes with food. It is a gift, and people receive it with thanksgiving, love, and respect. But when food does not come from a flock in the sky, when you don't feel the warm feathers cool in your hand and know that a life has been given for yours, when there is no gratitude in return, that food may not satisfy. Something is broken when the food comes in a styrofoam tray wrapped in a slippery plastic, a carcass of a being whose only chance of life was in a cramped cage. That is not a gift of life, it is theft. How in our modern world can we find our way to understand the earth as a gift again, to make our relations with the world sacred again? I know we cannot all become hunter-gatherers, but even in a market economy, can we behave as if the living world were a gift. I believe that behaving as if the living world is a gift is only possible if you know that the world around you is living in the first place. How can you protect and cherish what you do not know even exists? What would it be like to be raised on gratitude? To have respect towards all non-human relatives, not one political entity, but to all of life. What happens to nationalism, to political boundaries, when allegiance lies with winds and waters that know no boundaries, that cannot be bought or sold? There's something about beautiful landscapes that collectively takes our breath away. The feeling of calm and inspiration that nature elicits is probably why so many desktop photos are pictures of scenery. Standing at the precipice of a cliff, by the beach at sunset, in the middle of a rainforest, these things make my existence feel so small. They make my worries feel temporary, my failures feel fleeting, and remind me that there's so much more that has come before and will come after me. The sun always rises, the tide always comes in, and the flowers always bloom. And my job is just to be thankful for all this abundance and fully enjoy the brief moments I've been blessed with on earth, right here, right now. Death, illness, the end of a love affair, disappointment at work or school. No matter what you're going through, nature has the power to snatch you up and either tell you it understands or give you a different perspective. It happens even under the most desperate of circumstances. During the Israeli bombardment of Beirut in 1982, the Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish was stunned by the persistence of the birds that never ceased to take advantage of the early morning to break into song. The steadfastness of birds reminds us that a normal life had existed once in a troubled place and could perhaps exist again someday. I love taking care of my plants. They add a joy and vibrancy to my space that is really hard to explain. Even though plants are not as difficult to manage as pets are, I still feel like I had to learn how to best take care of each plant. I've had to become very attuned to how my plants individually respond to light and water because different plants have different needs, and this goes even for plants of the same species. Being attuned to my plants remind me of how I need to be attuned to myself and my own needs at various points in my life. Similarly, we need to remember not to compare our growth with those around us, because just like plants, we too flourish the best under different conditions and in our own unique ways. I have learned many lessons from my plants. By pruning my plants and watching how cutting off old leaves leads to new healthy growth, I've learned how sometimes we need to shed the insecurities and negativity that is holding us down to grow anew. By propagating them and seeing how one unassuming plant can give life to so many others, I've come to understand the abundance and regenerative quality of nature. Plants have taught me the importance of rejuvenation and restoration, and that slow growth is sometimes exactly what you need to become steady and strong. It is in the peace and calm of nature where I can sit quietly, humble my mind, find solace, and learn to trust the seasons of my life.